Hi everyone, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. My name is Osereme, and in today's video we are going to be making this beautiful dress I'm putting on right now. It's a simple pencil dress with ruffles around the bottom and on the side. So if this is something you're interested in, you definitely want to keep on watching. And if you're still here to subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit on the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so that when I upload my next video, you'll be the first to see it. To make this dress, you will need about 3 yards of fabric. What I used here is crepe. I got 3 yards, and for the first time, I decided to add a sleeve to the dress. I made it with a sleeve at first, but I'll show you guys later because I removed it in the course of the video. So this was what I got for the sleeve, which is chantilly lace 1 yard. So now to go ahead and get started with our pattern, I have my pattern paper folded into two, and at the top here, I've drawn out a starting line, which is our shoulder line. So now from the shoulder line, I'm going to measure down to my waist, and I'm going to mark it here and draw a straight line across. And after that, I'm going to measure from my shoulder down to my hip. That's my shoulder to hip line, and I will draw it across as well. And then lastly, from the shoulder again, I'll measure to the length that I want the pencil dress part of this dress to be. So I'm going to be stopping it here at 34, and I'll draw a straight line across as well. So by the time we add the ruffles at the bottom, it's going to be longer. So this is our shoulder line, this is our waistline, this is our hip line, and then lastly we have the hemline here. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start adding my body measurements. So for the neckline on the shoulder here, I'll go in by 3 inches for my neck width, and I'm going to come down by 3.5 inches for my neck depth. All right, and then I'm going to connect the both points together with a round neckline. Now the next thing I'm going to do is on the shoulder line here, I'm going to go in by half of my shoulder measurement, which is right here at 7 inches, and then I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Okay, our shoulder is not straight, so you have to slope it. So now I've connected it now to the top of my neckline, as you can see. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to determine my armhole depth. So I measured around my armhole and I divided the measurement I have around my armhole. So what I have here is what I use. So I'm just going to come down from here by half of that measurement. So when I measured, it was about 15 inches. So half of that is 7.5. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it here. And then I will go ahead and draw a straight line across this point. And this is now going to become my chest line. So now once you're through with that, from your shoulder slope, you're going to draw a straight line down to the new chest line so that we'll be able to get our armhole. Okay, so from the shoulder slope to the chest line, divide what you have into 2 equal halves and make a mark. And then from that point, go in by half of an inch. Now on the chest line, you're going to mark your bust measurement divided by 4, which I've marked here. So now what you're going to do is to join all the points together with a curve to give you your armhole. So from the shoulder slope to the midpoint to the bust measurement on the chest line, everything together is going to give you your armhole curve. So this is what yours should look like by the time you're done. Now the next thing we're going to do is on the waistline here, we're going to go in by half of our bust span, nipple to nipple measurement. For me, it's 3.5. Okay, I'm marking it on the waistline and also on the chest line, and I'm going to connect a straight line to connect both of them. Now from the waistline, I'm going to come down by about 4 inches for that leg of the skirt part. Just watch what I'm doing and follow up. So come down by about 4 inches. If you are taller, you can do 5 inches here. Now once you're through with this, go out on both sides of the dart on the waistline by half of an inch, and then go ahead and connect down here, okay, to the 4 inches you came down by. And then for the upper part, you can just go up by 4 inches as well from the waistline, and then go ahead and connect just like you see me doing like this. All right, so it's actually very simple. This is how you go about connecting your dart. So make sure you're taking your dart on the waistline. We already marked our bust measurement on the chest line. So for the waist, you're going to mark your waist measurement divided by 4. And because there's a dart here, you're going to measure and replace your dart. All right. Now on the hip line, you're going to mark your hip measurement divided by 4. Okay. And now on the waist, on the chest line, I told you guys we've already marked it, bust measurement divided by 4. All right. So now the last part is going to be the hemline. What I do is what I have on the hip line, I will just remove about 1 inch and use it on the hemline here. Okay, so now this is all. I'm going to go ahead and join all the last points together with my marker to give me my body shape. So guys, now that we're through with that, this is the front pattern, remember? So from the neckline area here, I'm going to come down from the shoulder by 1 inch for the neckline of the back. So this pattern paper is what I intend to use for the front and back. So I come down by 1 inch and I'm just going to connect it back to the neck width that we already have here. Okay. Okay, so now this is the back neckline and this is the front. You guys are going to be seeing how we'll use this same pattern paper to cut out both our front and back pieces. So now I'm going to cut out the back neckline and then cut out the rest of the body. So I'll cut out the front neckline after I'm done cutting out the back fabrics. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut it out and then go ahead and start using this to cut out on our actual fabric. Alright guys, we are going to be cutting out the back first. Okay, so I have my fabric folded into two and I've gone in and drew out a line 1.5 inch away from the edge of my fold. This is serving as our zipper allowance at the back. I told you guys we are drafting out the back pattern first. So I'm going ahead to pin my pattern paper on it. This is the front pattern paper that we drafted that I said we will use for both the front and the back. So for the back, go in by 1.5 inch, draw a straight line before you place the pattern paper, just like I've done here. So once you're through with this, remember we've not added stitching allowances to the side of this pattern where we're drafting it out. So from the pattern paper here, I'll just come out by 1.5 inch and then I'm going to use it to make a mark all the way from the armhole area down to the end of the skirt part. Basically, I'm just adding 1.5 inch to the side of this pattern. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the neckline. Make sure to give it about 1/2 inch away from the pattern paper. Do the same thing on the shoulder. On the armhole, I don't like to add a lot of allowance, but you can just give it a little bit of something there. And then on the side, we've already marked our stitching allowance. Go ahead and cut it and cut out the bottom part as well. So guys, this is the back pattern cut out. Basically, this is it. So now the only thing I will do here is on the waistline, I'll just extend this line coming in into the um zipper allowance area of the back, and I'll come in from here by 1/2 inch. This is to prevent the zipper from bulging at the back by the time I am fixing the zipper when I get to the area where I fix the zipper. So I'm reducing this zipper area of the waist area of the center back by 1/2 inch. So once you have done this, just go ahead and cut the center back just like you see me doing like this, following that shape that we have marked. So just like I'm doing right now. I'm done drafting out the back pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my pins. So this is the back piece. Okay. So now to cut out the front, I will just remove the back neckline and now cut the neckline through the front. And I'm going to use this pattern to cut out on my fabric just exactly as it is. I'll only add stitching allowance to the side, guys. So this is what it looks like after I was done cutting it out for the front pattern. You can see the stitching allowance was added to the side, and this is what it looks like. You should also always cut it out in a fold. So once I'm through with this, the next thing I want to do is to pipe the neckline. Now for this neckline, I should have used a red bias, of course, but I do not have a red bias, and it will not show in front by the time we're done. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this bias right here to pin all the way around the neckline, sew it first, and then use it to pipe the neckline to the back. For the two back pieces, I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing. This is what the neckline looks like. I'm going to pipe it here and here as well. So after I was done with the front, you can see what it looks like. Over on the right side, it doesn't show, okay? And also the dart areas, I decided to go ahead and stitch down the dart. Remember, we have a dart on our pattern paper here, so I stitched it on the dress, okay? So all you have to do is measure it and just stitch it down on the dress. I've done the same thing on the back as well, and I've piped the back neckline as well. So this is what we have going on so far. You can see how neat the necklines are looking. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to pin down the shoulder areas of the front and the back, and I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and make a stitch to join these areas together. So guys, after I was done stitching it down, this is what it looks like. Okay, so you can see what the front is looking like, very neat. So now the next thing we want to do is we're going to join the back pieces together, right sides facing each other, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin it from the neckline area all the way to the bottom. I'm pinning it down for now so that I'll be able to continue without having three pieces, so that it just becomes two pieces. So now I told you guys before that I actually wanted to add a sleeve to this because I was making this for Christmas carol in church, and it actually required a sleeve. So at first when I filmed this tutorial, I added the sleeve. So I'm going to show you guys how I will remove the sleeve later and what I did. So now I am going ahead to pin down the sleeve because for the first time, like I said before, I added the sleeve. So I'm just pinning it all the way around the armhole, and I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and stitch down the sleeve on both sides of the armhole. Alright guys, so this is it all pinned down. So I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and make a stitch here, okay, to join the sleeve with the dress. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on this other side as well. So this is what it looks like after I was done adding the sleeves, okay. This is the other side as well. So this is the back. Remember I just pinned down the back earlier. So now we are going to be fixing a zipper to the back. So from the top here all the way down to somewhere around here, I'm going to fix my zipper. So I'll just mark a point here where the zipper will stop. So from where zipper will stop down here, I'm going to make a straight stitch. Then on the upper part I will be leaving it open so that I can fix my zipper. So straight stitch at the bottom, zipper at the top. So I've made this straight stitch already, okay. So this area here is where the zipper will be. So I'm just going to go over and make a zipper here, fix my zipper, I mean. So after I was done fixing my zipper, you can see how neat it looks. This is what it looks like. So yeah, this is it, okay. Right. So now the next thing we want to do is to join the sides of this dress basically. Now to join the sides, I'm going to be using my body measurement. I'll measure my bust, my waist, and my hip on the hip line, and I'm going to use this to take my sewing from the inside. Now, before you do this sewing from the inside, you need to determine which area of the dress you want the ruffle to go up on. So for me, I wanted it to go up on my right side, okay. So on the right side of the dress, I am going to sew from the sleeve all the way to the waist. That's where I will stop my stitching, okay. Now on the other side where the ruffles will not be, I will just sew from the sleeve all the way through to the end, okay. So we are going to join the remaining side of the right part after we are done placing our ruffles. So this is what it looks like after I was done stitching it down. You see, I told you guys to stop on the waist, on the part where you want your ruffles to go up on. On the other side, just go ahead and stitch it down from the arm, from the sleeve all the way through to the end. So this is the part where our ruffles are going to start from. So what I'm going to do is from this bottom here, I'm just marking this with my free hand to be sincere. I'm just going to make a curve down to that waist area, okay. Remember where the opening stop. So just make a curve like you see me doing like this. It's just kind of like a C shape like this. So this is the front part. This is how it's going to follow. I'll turn it over to the back as well and do it curved like this all the way to the waist area as well. This is not something that you need to take special measurement for. Just make a curve like this and do the same thing on the other side as well. So once you're through with this, what you need to do is to measure the length of your curve. Okay, so I'm going to measure this through the front and take it all the way to the back. Okay, so this is going to let you know how long or how much fabric you need for your ruffles. So what I had was 59 inches. Okay, so now for the ruffle that is going to go around the area we marked, remember I said it was 59 inches, right? This ruffle needs to be at least twice of 59 inches, so it should be at least 100 inches in total, okay, so that by the time we make gathers it will be full. Mine was not even so full because the amount of fabric I had left was not so much, okay. So now 59 inches divided by 4, so I did two. I made two flares so that I would join them together. That way I will have 100 and I think 110 flare inches of flare in total. So first I divided the 59 inches into 4 to get a rough curve, and I'm using the measurement I've gotten from my rough curve here to go ahead and make a curve around. So it was 9.5. So placing the 9.5 at the top of my fold here, this fabric is folded into 4. I'm cutting out a 360 degrees flare with a radius of 59 inches, okay. So now for the length, I'm marking 9.5 inches, okay. So 9 inches plus 34 inches, which was the length of the upper part, is going to give me about 40 something inches, which is the length that I want this dress to be. So I'm just using this 9 inches from the first line that we drew all the way across to measure this flare. Okay, so now this flare that I've cut out now is just one. This is going to go around exactly as it is, and it will not give me that full pleats that I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out two of this. Okay, I wanted to cut out two exactly, but I wasn't able to get it two. But I actually added something to this so that I'll be able to get my gathers. So like I said, this is the first one. It is perfectly enough, but will not be able to make gathers with what I have right now. Okay, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is to fold my fabric again. I wanted to fold it into four, but it was not enough to get a fold into four. So what I did was I folded it into two, and I'm going to place this on it and use it to cut it out. So this one, this fold into two that I have is what's not going to be the excess that we have for our gathers. Okay, so you can see how mine looked at the beginning of the video. It was not so full, but at the same time it was not scanty. Okay, if you have enough fabric, go ahead and fold the second one into four. That way you have more fabric to work with for your gathers. But for me, since I did not have enough to fold into four, I folded it into two, and I'm going ahead to just trace it out. You can see I still added some extra, just trying to make it longer on this side since there was still a little bit of space on the side. So just go ahead and cut it out like you see me doing like this. So now I'm going to go ahead and join these two pieces together. You can see this is what we have on the excess. This one is a full 360. I'll cut it into two so that it opens up as well. So by the time I join these two together to become a one long piece, this one was about almost 100 inches, but it was not up to, okay, but it's going to be enough to give me that gather effect that I want. So I'm going to go over to the sewing machine. I'm going to join these together to make it a one long piece, and after which I'm going to now go ahead and fold the rough edges on the bottom part around, and then I'm going to make a gather stitch at the top so that I can make gathers at the top. So now this is it. I've stitched the rough edges around, as you can see, and I made my gather stitch at this top. When you're making your gather stitch, you use a very loose stitch, and you make sure you have excess threads at the beginning of your sewing, just like I have here, because these threads are what you're going to pull on to give you your gathers. So because this fabric is a bit thick, I have to be very patient with this. I'm just going ahead to pull on the threads a little bit, very little by little, until I get to the other end. So when I pull on these gathers now, I'm going to pull on it until it gives me 59 inches, which is what I need to go around my dress. I really hope you guys understand. So I'm going to do this right now and then go ahead and stitch it on the dress. So guys, after I was done making the gathers, this is what I have. So I'm going to now measure to be sure that it's going to be long enough to give me the 59 inches that I need. Okay, so yeah, this is just perfectly enough. So now I'm going to go over and stitch this on the areas that we marked earlier. So you're going to place it like this. Make sure you're placing it right sides. Okay, remember we have not joined the side. This is the reason why we have not joined the side. Okay, so you're going to place it like this. I was a bit confused at this point, honestly, but yeah, this is it. So you place it like this, and then you're going to go ahead and pin it down on the mark that you made. Okay, so go ahead and pin it all the way across, following the mark that you made. So you are going to head over to the sewing machine now and start stitching it down, just making a top stitch all the way across, just arranging this ruffle on the line that we drew earlier for the areas where we want the ruffles to pass through. So just, it's really very simple. Just go ahead and pin it all the way around from the front through to the back. Alright guys, so this is what it looked like after I was done pinning it all the way around. Okay, so once you're done with this, you're going to go over to the sewing machine and just make a top stitch from the inside. So guys, after I was done making my stitch, this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it will look like on the inside. So remember that opening that I told you guys to leave earlier? Now it's time to go ahead and finish it up. So I'll just go over to the sewing machine and finish it up and fold all the way around the bottom of the dress. And after that, that was basically all for the making of this ruffles, as you can see. So I've stitched it down. All I have to do now is iron out everything nicely. Okay, so this was what the dress looks like on me with the sleeve, but I decided to remove the sleeve after the church program, and this is what I did. So let me just go ahead and explain. So after I removed the sleeves, what I went ahead to do was to reduce the shoulder area by 1 inch. So I reduced it because there's no armhole here again. So I reduced it before I went ahead to pipe the armhole area just like I did around the neckline. So if you're making yours without a sleeve, you will need to reduce your shoulder. So just reduce the shoulder and then go ahead and pipe it just like we did on the neckline. And that will basically give you your full dress. So yeah, that's basically all for this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you find the tutorial helpful. If you like to add your sleeve, let me know in the comment section. Which one do you prefer, with or without the sleeve? I actually prefer it without the sleeve. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.